Shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Ha, Rakah Kwadash, Ma'amath. Double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone and the elders. Double honors to my elder as well, Aharawan Ban Yasha'Allah of the Lions Den Camp. And salutations to the fellow Akim, Atwafim, and children that believe in truth and in sincerity. It's your brother, Atanya Allah, back to another lesson in Yahweh Ratazah's edifying. I want to start off in the book of Ezekiel, chapter 13, going into the false prophets. All right, pretty much highlighting these fake Hebrew Israelite camps, these false Hebrew Israelite camps that ultimately took the bag. They're leading people astray with their antics, with their march, with their coordination of all being in the same color, purple or all black, whatever the case may be. All right, drawing the people to condemnation, man, more of a condemnation. Ultimately, the Christian church 2.0 with the doctrine of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, the doctrine of the truth. All right, but they water down the truth. Yes, they know. Yes, they teach the people that the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans are the Israelites according to the Bible. All right, but a half truth is a whole lie. So I wanted to go into the untempered mortar. All right, which ultimately Ezekiel chapter 13 goes into. It goes into the untempered mortar of the false prophets. All right, you have wicked scribes and Pharisees, but you also had scribes and Pharisees, but you also had the wicked scribes and Pharisees, those who wasn't doing it righteously, those who wasn't doing it in truth and in sincerity. So they have that untempered mortar, that doctrine that won't stick. This is Ezekiel chapter 13 and verse 1. And the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, prophesy against the prophets of Israel that prophesy, and say thou unto them that prophesy out of their own hearts. Right. Hear ye the word of the Lord. Right. You can't prophesy out of your own heart, meaning your own what? Your la'av, your own mind. Because your mind is your heart, ultimately, not the thing in your chest that just pumps blood. Your mind is your heart. All right, so with your heart, with your la'av, you can't take it upon yourself and guess, what the Lord will may be. You have to search those things out. You have to read. You have to study yourself approved, as the scriptures say. So we prophesying against the false prophets of Israel that didn't come up and didn't enter in at the straight gate. Or if they entered in at the straight gate, they ultimately took a bag. They jumped ship. Ultimately put forth treason towards our Lord and Savior, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. So it's imperative that you hear the word of the Lord first before you take upon your own will to do the will of the Lord in your eyes and your mind. Verse 3, thus saith the Lord, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, woe unto the foolish prophets that follow their own spirit and have seen nothing. Right. They follow their own spirit and have seen nothing. O Israel, thy prophets are like the foxes in the desert, man. Right. They follow their own spirit and seen nothing. Going back to what they use the Lord truth, thinking it, brings some type of worldly prosperity, wanting to build communities here in America, basically, teaching untempered mortar, man. That's a doctrine that won't stick because America is not going to be here. All right, this is not our rest, according to Micah 2 and 10. And if you read that, you will have that in your mind, your la'ab, that you can't build upon something that's getting ready to be destroyed. All right, you have to build on a solid foundation. And it's not a solid foundation being America built off of the so-called, the blood, rape, robbery, and murder of the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. All right, so to have the doctrine of the truth of we're the Israelites and the Lord is coming to save his people. All right. And then at the same time, being sacrilegious and trying to build communities here in America, having a prosperity type of doctrine along with it, not acknowledging the true men of the Lord, the true setup, which ultimately those men in purple being the IUIC, the fake Hebrew Israelite camps, the Sakaris, the ISUPKs come up under. All right. These camps and subsets wouldn't even be established and exist if it wasn't for certain men. If it wasn't for Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai as well, man. But again, it's all set for an example and we go get into those examples. One scripture I want to get is Sirach chapter 3 and verse 24. For many are deceived by their own vain opinion, and an evil suspicion have overthrown their judgment. Right. And that's why we can't trust ourselves. We can't go off our own vain opinion. We got to ask of the Lord what he wants us to think, what he wants us to do. Figure out his will and move accordingly through the spirit, not through this flesh. Right. We don't want to be deceived by our own thoughts and our own vain opinion. Again, Proverbs 20 and 24 states what? Man's goings are of the Lord, And this is Proverbs 20 and verse 24. Man's goings are of the Lord. How can a man then understand his own way? It is a snare to the man who devoureth that which is holy, and at the vows to make inquiry. Right. And that's what these fake Hebrew Israelite camps do. They talk and scoff about the true men of the Lord who's doing the work correctly. And they know that they're doing the work correctly. All right. Because they once was a part of it. They once was teaching the names of the Lord. And the proof is out there. All right. But they took a bag to where they denounced the name. Again, a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. All right. Meddle not with them that have been given to change, roughly paraphrasing. But from there, I want to get the book of Ephesians chapter 5 and verse 15. See then that ye walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise. Redeeming the time, because the days are evil. Wherefore be ye not unwise, but understanding what the will of the Lord is, man. Right. And that's why it's important, even going back to my last lesson, before we do or we think we're doing the will of the Heavenly Father, we have to understand what the will of the Lord is, man. And that's what you got going on with majority of our people. All right. 2/3 of our people, and even those who have thought themselves to be in the sheepfold, but really are not. Again, all Israel is not of Israel. As you have these fake Hebrew Israelite camps like the IUICs, the ISUPKs, the Sakaris, the GOCCs, which you don't really hear or talk about them anymore because that's just completely garbage. All right. The phobies, a lot of them came and went, but you got those who are still waxing strong in their wickedness. Why? Because the Lord knows how to deliver the godly, all right, out of temptation and to render the wicked into condemnation, man, roughly paraphrasing. So just going back to what Ezekiel chapter 13, and this is just like an impromptu, as many scriptures you can get pertaining to what? That untempered mortar. All right. That doctrine that won't stick. This doctrine won't stick. All right. Because you have to have the full understanding of what the Lord is getting ready to do. What he's about to send his son and a host of angels to come and do. And that's not to revamp this place and heal this place. All right. But the iniquities of this place have reached up to the heaven, man. This beast was healed and revamped. And that's why we're in this new Roman infrastructure. All right. Roman Empire 2.0, Egypt to the second degree. The second Egypt pertaining to Revelations 11, verse 8. All right. But this is not our rest. We're not to dwell here mentally and spiritually. All right. Even though we're here physically. But back in Ezekiel chapter 13 and verse 5, ye have not gone up into the gaps, neither made up the hedge for the house of Israel to stand in the battle in the day of the Lord. Right. And that's what these fake false prophets have not done. All right. They don't deny themselves. They don't go through afflictions and, and if they do, they don't take upon them cheerfully. They actually say things. You can hear it by the things they speak, which shows who they are through the spirit. They don't know how it is. They don't feel the way the true men of the Lord should feel, in a meek and contrite spirit, lowly of heart. All right. They in the spirit of mirth. They say things like call other brothers bum camps and things like that, like Bishop Nathaniel, the IUIC. Shit you will say in a worldly sense. That's worldly pride. And if the Lord Yahweh Shai was here on the scene, they'll call him a bum too. All right. So it's the same thing. And this is Ezekiel 13 and 6. They have seen vanity and lying divination, saying, the Lord saith, and the Lord have not sent them. And they have made others to hope that they would confirm the word, right? Self-proclaimed evangelists, self-proclaimed bishops, things like that. The scriptures say, let another man praise thee, according to your works in Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, but they actually puff up themselves and cling on to themselves, people who are going to put that battery in their back and boost their ego. And that's why you have people riding on a high horse on Passovers, having heathens on the Passovers, committing complete sin, abomination in the eyes of the Lord, man. And really think that they're doing the will of the Heavenly Father, man. Again, the Lord is going to choose their delusions. And again, the deceived and the deceiver are his. So those who confirm the word and dab that untempered mortar, dab that doctrine that won't stick. All right. It's like concrete. You have the sand and you have that water mixture. All right. You put it together and you get that perfect blend. All right. And you wait and you lay it down until it's set. All right. Those who dab that tempered mortar, all right, want to put their hand in it and put their hand in the print and say they was there. They're going to be judged as well, man. This is Ezekiel chapter 13 and verse 7. Have ye not seen a vain vision? And have ye not spoken a lying divination? Whereas ye say, the Lord saith, albeit I have not spoken. Right? The Lord ain't say that. It's June. Ain't no microchip. Paul, the book of Hebrews is not authentic. Things like that. That was Sakari sayings. Another Sakari saying is how we don't have to go through Yahweh Shai to get into the kingdom. When he's the sacrificial lamb, he's the doorway. John told you that. But ISUPK, they scoffed against John, right? Like he was some typical NIGGA. He's a plate of hot sauce. He's a plate of chicken. Go get me the hot sauce. Things like that. Just completely being disrespectful because they lack knowledge, they lack wisdom, so they can't edify, they can't put forth edification when it comes to the scriptures. All right, that's why they denounce and they try to do what the world do. All right, do what the typical black woman do at home to her man. She sit there and talk about everything that doesn't matter. All right, how they look, the outward appearance. All right, but they don't want to talk about the work that's being put in, the truth and the sincerity that's being done and what's being taught. All right. Whereas they have their outside of their cup is clean, but inside they're ravening wolves, man. They swallow a camel and strain out a net, roughly paraphrasing. This is Ezekiel 13 and verse 9. And mine hand shall be upon the prophets that see vanity and that divine lies. They shall not be in the assembly of my people, neither shall they be written in the writing of the house of Israel. Neither shall they enter into the land of Israel, and ye shall know that I am the Lord, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, man. That's what the Lord is getting ready to do, all right, because it's long overdue, all right, and it's just, it vexes you, all right, because you see the true men of the Lord putting in real work and going through real hardships and afflictions, all right, but hey, don't worry about where the wicked, and how the wicked is, the state that the wicked in, we just got to continue to do our will, what the Lord signed us up to do. And that's the true work. But this is the book of St. John, chapter 10 and verse 12. But he that is a hireling and not the shepherd, whose own the sheep are not, right? Those sheep don't belong to you. That's why, brothers, say, all right, the apostles and elders and brothers like myself, like I'm getting ready to say right now, if there is any of the elect amongst you, they're going to be purged out. The Lord is going to wing them out. He's going to set an example amongst those congregations, and the elect is going to flee them. Why? Because they're not your sheep. They're the Lord's sheep. All right. So the hireling, being the wicked shepherd, that is, in this sense, the Lord's going to have to smite that wicked shepherd, man. So those of the elect in those congregations could scatter, all right, and ultimately fall and draw into the true men of the Lord, man, and possibly be the 11th hour Israelites, man. This verse 12 again, but he that is a hireling and not the shepherd, whose own the sheep are not, seeth the wolf coming, and leaveth the sheep and fleeth. Right, and that's what they're getting ready to do. That's why they have booster clubs and things like that. They take all your money. They want you to get Israelite starter kits. They run the same template of business and commerce as Esau does with their 501c3 charter. All right, they just manipulate you with the words of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, with the truth. All right, but the scriptures say what? Freely receive, freely give. You know, they got this truth without paying, without rendering up Caesar's money. They got it through the spirit of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. So why would they charge the individual for what they got for free through the spirit? You know, now do the men of the Lord supposed to be getting taken care of? Absolutely. All right, but it's a way to do it. You know, and really here on this side is really dangerous, man, because we all struggle to make ends meet, you know, due to the society and the way it's constructed, you know, according to Baruch 3:8, how we're subject to payments, Haggai 1:6, the bag filled with holes, you know. So again, Micah 2:10, this is not our rest. And that's what you have to have an understanding of in the full spectrum of what the Lord's will is and what he's coming to do, so you can continue to teach the right doctrine, because it's not just about we're the Lord's people and the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans are the Israelites, man. It gets deeper than that. It's layers. Again, study to show thyself approved, and we have an unction to know all things. All right. So ultimately, what? The hireling, he's getting ready to, you know, he's building up all the money, teaching you what he want to teach you out of his own heart. But he's not building you up spiritually to prepare you for that dreadful day of the Lord. He tell you that the dreadful day of the Lord ain't gonna come. You know what? It's June. Ain't no microchip. Things like that. When we're in the midst of Jacob's trouble, and the Lord is constantly turning up that knob, turning up that heat. But this is the book of St. John, chapter 10. In verse 12 again, but he that is an hireling and not the shepherd, whose own the sheep are not, seeth the wolf coming, and leaveth the sheep and fleeth. And the wolf catcheth them and scattereth the sheep. Right. And then the wolf goes catcheth them and scattereth the sheep. Those that are left, that the Lord ain't direct to the true men of the Lord. You know, that the Lord ain't put fear in to run out of that congregation and seek the truth. All right, the 100% truth, you know, from the camps like ourselves, right? You know, they ultimately going to be what? Sheep led to the slaughter. Verse 14, I am the good shepherd and know my sheep and am known of mine, as the Father knoweth me. Right. You know, the sheep go know the Heavenly Father. You know, they go know this don't sound right. And they go question. That's why when people used to question IUICs and stuff like that, used to get the videos of people getting kicked out. You know, they used to make videos combating it. All right. Which shows you that what they devoured souls. They subverted whole houses, like the book of Titus say. It's verse 15. As the Father knoweth me, even so know I the Father, and I lay down my life for the sheep. Right. He's the sacrificial lamb. You know, but other people try to take his glory, you know, try to stand in his stead as if they worthy. Like they can keep the law to they don't need Yahweh Shai, you know, the Sakaris and the IUICs and the ISUPK and how they preach law. And they the main ones that transgress the law abundantly. And other sheep I have, which are not of this fold, them also I must bring, and they shall hear my voice, and there shall be one fold and one shepherd. Right, like the Israelite foreigners, the Israelites that was scattered abroad. They of the Lord's sheeps too. Again, there's no respecter of persons, man. You got to acknowledge those who doing the work at the end of the day in truth and in sincerity, because that's who the Lord acknowledging. That's who the Lord building up. And that's who you gonna have to get the truth from at the end of the day. Therefore doth my Father love me, because I lay down my life that I might take it again. No man taketh it from me, but I lay it down of myself. I have power to lay it down, and I have power to take it again. This commandment have I received of my Father, man. Right? Nobody can't do that. Nobody can't take that position, you know. So a hireling, he's just that, a hireling. All right. He has a lot of bloodshed on his hand when it comes to Bishop Nathaniel. You know, you don't want to hear the stories and the past stories. You know, they don't want their congregation to hear the past stories of what's been going on in the past amongst that congregation. The Joey Morgans and stuff like that. Girl dying in the UK and just all type of counts coming against them. You know, them full of extortion when it comes to their congregation, calling a guy named Pockets and manipulating them for his money. You know, things like that. It's all been out here, and these people actually come out and talk about what's been done to him, and it get brushed up under the rug. But the Lord is not going to brush it up under the rug. Just the book of St. John, chapter 12 and verse 16. These things understood not his disciples at the first, but when Yahushua was glorified, then remembered they that these things were written of him, and that they had done these things unto him. The people therefore that was with him when he called Lazarus out of his grave and raised him from the dead bear record. For this cause the people also met him, for that they heard that he had done this miracle. The Pharisees therefore said among themselves, perceive ye how ye prevail nothing? Behold, the world is going after him. I don't even know how I brought that out. Salaki, I wanted Job 12 and 16. But that kind of sounded like a good one too right there. You know, the false prophets go, you know, when the Lord came on the scene, well, I said the Pharisees. It didn't say the wicked scribes and Pharisees, but when the Lord came on the scene, it's going to provoke them to jealousy, man. They're going to know that they're not going to, they haven't been doing the will of the Heavenly Father correctly. This is Job 12 and verse 16. With him is strength and wisdom. The deceive and the deceiver are his. He leadeth counselors away spoil and maketh the judges fools, right? You know, so you don't want to be a fool. You want to understand the totality of what the will of the Lord is, and you want to do it correctly, or else you're basically giving off untempered mortar, doctrine that won't stick. Just going back to Ezekiel chapter 13 to get back more so onto the point. And we got 10, and I'll start at verse 11, because what they say peace, and there is no peace. You know, ain't gonna be no Jacob's trouble. They talk about building here in America. All right, well, we're in Jacob's trouble. You know, they taught their people to go down and get the digital from Egypt, and a lot of their congregations got that. So I'm pretty sure it's people in their midst of their congregations having all type of complications and ailments, you know. But this is Ezekiel chapter 13 and verse 11. Say unto them which dabbed it with untempered mortar, right? The ones who dabbed it. Again, we just brought out Job 12 and 16. The deceiver and the deceive are his. Say unto them which dabbed it with untempered mortar. And let's look up that word mortar, just to get the proper context of the scriptures. You know, let's get untempered first. 8602.
Strong's H, 8602.
Tafel. Foolish, insipid, tasteless. It's a tasteless doctrine. It's an unseasoned doctrine, man. Ooh. It's an uncertain doctrine, man. But our doctrine's certain, you know, because what? We study to show ourselves approved, man. Get that word mortar. Oh yeah, it's like mortar. That might be the same definition. Untempered mortar being one, like together. Let's try verse 11, Salakia. Yep. So it's go back to H86. So it's foolish. All right. Uncertain, tasteless. So again, it's uncertain, meaning what? A doctrine that won't stick. It's not going to stick to the people. You know, it's uncertain. And this is Ezekiel 13 and 14. So will I break down the wall that ye have dabbed with untempered mortar, and bring it down to the ground, so that the foundation thereof shall be discovered, and it shall fall, and ye shall be consumed in the midst thereof, and ye shall know that I am the Lord. Man, right? Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shah. You know, because if the congregation is of the Lord, it shall stand. But if not, it shall have an end. This is the book of Jeremiah, and we'll get back to Ezekiel 13 and verse 15. But I want to get the book of Jeremiah, chapter 22 and verse 13. And this is a message about the kings. Woe unto him that buildeth his house by unrighteousness, and his chambers by wrong, that useth his neighbor's service without wages, and giveth him not for his work. And that's ultimately what Esau does, these other heathen nations do. All right, as we're in the one of all things, up under the curses, but those curses are ultimately getting uplifted. All right, so what? We're in the one of all things. You know, they build kingdoms and societies, and they build their people up, and they build their nations and their communities up off of the back and the blood, sweat, and the rape, robbery, and murder of the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. But then you have that as well in the fold. All right, self-proclaimed kings, self-proclaimed bishops, guerrilla Hebrews, things like that. You know, self-proclaimed, these cultivated personalities, Apostle Gabar would refer them as. You have a lot of those in this truth that build what? They build a house, they build a congregation with other men's spiritual energy, money, you know, and giveth him not for his work. They're not giving them the things sufficient. They're not giving them the proper provender. You know, they're not feeding the proper provender to the sheep. All right, to ultimately build those sheep up to be healthy, good sheep. And Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shah. That saith, I will build me a wide house. This is verse 14. And large chambers, and cut of him out windows, and it is sealed with cedar, and painted with vermilion. Shalt thou reign because thou closest thyself in cedar? Did not thy father eat and drink, and do judgment and justice? And then it was well with him, right? Didn't the Lord speak on the things he was supposed to speak on? He rebuked when he was supposed to rebuke. He uplifted when he uplifted. He healed when he was supposed to heal. You're supposed to be of that same spirit. You know, not having respect of persons and just being always in this happy-go-lucky worldly spirit. You know, you got to rebuke some people. You got to rebuke your congregation and these like the guy who extorted the guy pockets, Bishop Kanai. He's right back in the same, you know what I'm saying, right there next to rubbing shoulders with, you know, it's things like that to where, you know, you see these men are not true men of the Lord, not true men of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. But from there, I want to get the book of Matthew, chapter 7. And start at verse 15. Beware of false prophets will come to you in sheep clothing, but inwardly they are ravening wolves. You shall know them by their fruits. Do men gather grapes or thorns or figs or thistles? Even so, every good tree bringeth forth good fruit, but a corrupt tree bringeth forth evil fruit. You know, so hey, that's just it, man. You know, they ultimately go add sin to sin. But, you know, that untempered mortar is going to put more of a darkness on our people. All right. So the wicked go to the wicked, the left-hand side, and the righteous go to the right-hand side, man, where the righteous are. It don't mix. It's like water and oil. So ultimately you tell certain men by their fruits, all right, the fruit that they bear, don't really, out of all the people in these congregations, you don't see true, you don't see likeness of the Lord, man. You don't see nothing that really have the embodiment of what this truth and what we're supposed to represent. All right. It's all strife, contentions, debates about lucre, rap videos. And this is the Sakaris, the ISUPKs, and the IUICs. Birds of a feather flock together. Those who took the bag, they obviously have the template of the world with what 501c3 charters, LLCs, businesses, is big businesses, record labels. Like, you can't make this shit up. This is Matthew 7:18. A good tree cannot bring forth evil fruit, right? You can't bring forth evil fruit. You'll know what the thin line we're walking on, and you'll have that fear of the Lord because the doctrine and the scriptures have been taught correctly. All right. Verse 19, every tree that bringeth not forth good fruit is hewn down and cast into the fire, man. It's going to be a part of that second death. With the fire is going to be here, where America is going to be made a lake of fire. All right, it's surrounded majority by waters right now, but once it's prophesied, as it's prophesied in Revelations, as 200,000 missiles are going to hit here, all right, warheads. All right, 200 million missiles are going to make America a lake of fire. All right, so any fruit that's not good is going to be cast into that. Wherefore, by their fruits ye shall know them, man. By their fruits you shall know who the true men of the Lord are, who the true leaders of Israel are. It is not those of the IUIC, the men in purple, the men in black of the ISUPK, nor the zealots of Sakari. I want to make sure I got everything out of that Jeremiah I wanted to get. Jeremiah chapter 22 and verse 13. I pretty much got that. This is the book of 1 Peter, chapter 4, and verse 18. And if the righteous scarcely be saved, where shall the ungodly and the sinner appear? Wherefore let them that suffer according to the will of God commit the keeping of their souls to him that in well-doing. Right, that's well-doing. Those who suffer, those who take their affliction, those who are considered bums on this side, that's well-doing. So those who are doing well are going to scarcely be saved. All right. The Lord just, he's keeping, that's why the wicked still is afloat. All right. For that example, alongside the seldom few that are righteous, because he's going to make a big statement when he condemns the majority. All right. And that abundant number that are more so wicked. All right. And teaching that untempered mortar and dabbing that untempered mortar. So he'll keep them to the end. Again, the book in 2 Peter, chapter 2 and verse 9. The Lord know how to deliver the godly out of temptation, and he know how to deliver the wicked into condemnation. All right. But yeah, that's just what I had on that. This is Ezekiel 13 and verse 15, just going back to Ezekiel. Thus will I accomplish my wrath upon the wall and upon them that have dabbed it with untempered mortar, right? The deceive and the deceiver are his, and will say unto you, the wall is no more, neither they that dabbed it, to wit, the prophets of Israel which prophesy concerning Jerusalem and which see visions of peace for her, and there is no peace, saith the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. Likewise, thou son of man, set thy face against the daughters of my people, which prophesy out of their own heart, and prophesy thou against them, and say, thus saith the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, woe, right? And woe represents destruction to the women that sew pillows to all armholes, and make handkerchiefs upon the head of every stature to hunt souls. Will ye hunt the souls of my people? And will ye save the souls alive that come unto you? And will ye pollute me among my people for handfuls of barley and for pieces of bread? And that's what they do. Again, respect of persons is not good. When a man, he would transgress for a piece of bread, roughly paraphrasing, but I brought that out in the last lesson, right? But that's how the leaders are, man. You think they ain't take a bag from one of these secret societies? Of course, you know. But hey, the Lord see everything, man. It'll all come out at the end of the day, man. You know. What's done in the dark ultimately comes to the light. All right, when the light is shed upon it. So again, when Yahweh Shah comes and when the righteous is scarcely saved, the wicked is gonna go to a dark condemnation, man. They're gonna be brought to hell, man. Judgment, fire. You know, and what they do, they add on silly women, all right, who you know, mainly IUIC, their congregation is mainly women. You know, that's like the family Israelite group. You know, if you are trying to do the Israelite thing as a family, that's where they will go. You know, to where the woman here in America pretty much have like a financial stability about them. You know, that's the game Esau plays. He'll give the typical, especially Southern women, the job before a man, so she can go and usurp authority at home. All right. But then you got these, you know, all they do is marry, be given the marriage. They have marriages and things like that in these particular groups. Like I went into the store here, which I'm actually near a IUIC location where I stay here in Jacksonville, Florida. And I ended up going to the store one night for some lettuce for a taco kit. And I literally just went in there for some lettuce. And this was like a Saturday night at the camp or something like that. And I saw a IUIC couple. All right. They had a child. Everybody, you know, it was in purple. Even the child had on the purple short shirt with the fringes and everything like that. And as I'm hitting self-checkout, of course, in my mind, I wanted to say something to the man. All right, what they would call their Lord. The woman kind of looking, but I kind of feel like they knew. It's like they trained to see who's around them as far as these camps, especially if you have the GMS doctrine, to where they hopped on the phone. And when I was at checkout and I'm scanning the lettuce, I heard the lady says, while she was on the phone and the man was on the phone as well, but they was at the cash register in front of me, but it was a person at that register. And I was at self-checkout, you know, just to give a quick testimony. And it was like, yeah, he got a bag of lettuce in his hand. And that's what I remembered. Like, and I remember that vividly because it was like I was paying attention to him as far as thinking of, should I say something as far as, you know, like, you know, you damn near scanned your hand to buy that or something like that, you know, pertaining to the doctrine and things like that, the difference. You know, not the camp bang, but just to, you know, throw a seed in there or to water a seed. And that's what I heard. I heard the female say, yeah, he got a bag of lettuce in his hand. And then I looked at my hand. It made me look at myself like, damn, is it me? And I scanned my lettuce and I was walking out of the door. As I'm walking out of the door, me and the guy finna walk out this together, but he did like a U-turn jerk. And he was on the phone. He was like, yeah, I was just about to walk out the door, man. Yeah, and it was like they hopped on phone and like it was on council, man. It was weird. And through the spirit, that's what I felt. And I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's what I felt, you know. But it's just things like that, man. Just that untempered mortar, man, leading people astray. Those silly women, right? And this is why, as the Lord begins with his men, man. The flock of his pasture is with men. All right. But I want to start off in the book of Titus, in chapter 1 and verse 5. For this cause left I thee in Crete, that thou shouldest set in order the things that are wanting, and ordain elders in every city, as I had appointed thee. If any be blameless, the husband of one wife, having faithful children, not accused of riot or unruly. For a bishop must be blameless as a steward of Yahweh by Hashem Yahushai, not self-willed, not soon angry, not given to wine, nor striker, not given to filthy lucre, man, right? You know, but they had the nerve to self-proclaim themselves to be bishops, but they riding on Clydesdales and shit in Passover. You know, about filthy lucre, you know. It's all blasphemy. It's all what you call sacrilegious, speaking with a double tongue, all right? Acting like they for the Lord, but their hearts far from him. But a lover of hospitality, a lover of good men, sober, just, holy, temperate, holding fast the faithful word, right? Holding fast the faithful word, not once teaching the true names in the Paleo Hebrew and no longer teaching the true names. But this group has one of the biggest followings in the Hebrew Israelite community, man, the men in purple and the men in black, all right? And they're pretty much wicked, just being the point. And you can read this whole, you know, continue to read this whole chapter. All right, we're going to do that. This verse 9, as is short. We only got a few verses left. Holding fast that the faith word as he have been taught. Right, a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways, man. He jumping ship. That he may be able by sound doctrine both to exhort and to convince the gainsayers. They can't do that. They haven't studied to show themselves approved. You know, so they don't exhort, they don't edify, you know, so they can't convince. So eventually when shit really hit the fan and it get realer than it is right now, all hell go break loose among these particular congregations. Verse 10, for there are many unruly and vain talkers and deceivers, especially they of the circumcision, right? Whose mouths must be stopped, who subvert whole houses, teaching things which they ought not for filthy lucre's sake. One of themselves, even a prophet of their own, said, the Cretans are always liars, evil beasts, slow bellies. This witness is true, right? And that's all that come out, man. Everything that lead their congregation, they be like, man, yeah, they scoff. Yeah, he think he Elijah. Oh yeah, he, you know what I'm saying? They be telling you the real spill of what's be going on behind closed doors and what be going on in there, you know. But nah, don't do that when you mad, you know. Walk away when you see that it's unrighteous, when you see that it's not right. Stand up on it in the eyes of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. They walk away from it because something went wrong when it comes to business, when it comes to commerce. They weren't allowed to do something. They weren't allowed to sell something to the congregation or whatever the case may be. You know, because if I wanted to start a business right now and I'm in the Hebrew Israelite thing, I would join the IUIC. You know, I have patrons and I have consumers to purchase my product. Verse 14, not giving heed to Jewish fables and commandments of men that turn from the truth. Unto the pure, all things are pure, but unto them that are defiled and unbelieving is nothing pure, but even their mind and conscience is defiled. They profess that they know God, but in their works they deny him, being abominable and disobedient, and unto every good work reprobate, man. And that's what you're going to have, man. The leaders of these congregations, they're going to be counted as reprobate silver. You know, again, that untempered martyr, that doctrine that won't stick. And Shalom, Mahabatah, and DTA until the next one.